Good morning. Welcome back to another edition of the Market Open. Thank you all for being here. It is June 6th, 2023, 9:21 a.m., and we have a lot to talk about this morning. We've got three major pieces of news, but before we even get into those three major pieces of news, I just saw the news about Coinbase. I did not hear about it all morning. Literally 2 minutes ago, I saw the news about Coinbase as someone in the chat is talking about Coinbase as we see it. Rip Coinbase. Oh boy. This is hard to swallow. So we've got a new Palantir partnership with Amazon, extending their partnership to bring Foundry to the manufacturing businesses that use AWS. That's a big thing we got to talk about. We have to talk about Apple and their new Vision Pro. I love that name. Some people hate that name. I love that name. The implications it has for Meta and for Unity stock that was up 17% yesterday, ending the day up 20% when Apple even mentioned their name. This was the first time I ever saw something like that. And we've got to talk about Coinbase, which now apparently is in some issues. Reza, hello, thank you for being here. Seth Roth, Daniel, Cameron Investing, Jan, do you think he will be punctual? I am literally here on time every time. You guys are like, is he going to be punctual? And I'm here every time. Even if it's at 9:20 and 49 seconds and I'm here and it looks like I'm at 9:21, I am here at 9:20. Steve, the Foolish Hiker, Power Napster, hey Jersey Boy, Felicia, hello, how are you? Jason, Midwest, Joseph, Blake, JCM68, Nathaniel, James, Technical Trader, Wong, Broccoli, Bob, John Stevens, happy Tuesday to you, David Long, thank you all for being here. Seth Roth, yes, ARK is holding Coinbase. Coinbase is ARK's fifth largest holding. So let's pull up Coinbase right now. For those that didn't get the news, the SEC is suing Coinbase. Yes, and I found out about it like two seconds ago, literally right before I went on live. The SEC is suing Coinbase. Let's get into it right here. And this is pretty crazy. So this is what we're looking at with Coinbase. This is the drop we're looking at right now. Coinbase is down 22% pre-market. It's at $45. It was about $65 right before. And the SEC is suing them. Now, these are the inherent risks that come when running a crypto company, which is that the United States of America does not want anything to replace the dollar. This is something a lot of people have theorized for a while. It was never my bear case on crypto. My bear case was like, I don't know what you're going to do with the actual currency. But the another bear case is like geopolitically, China banned it. You know, the United States hasn't banned it, but we've definitely not embraced it to the extent we would think we are. And so this is some of the stuff that's going on right now. Let's pull up the article, and I'm going to be reading this at the same time as you guys are reading this, understanding a little bit more. The SEC sued Coinbase on Tuesday, alleging that the company was operating as an unregistered exchange and broker. Okay, that's a little ridiculous. I was in college using Coinbase, so it's been a long time. You would imagine that Coinbase was fine. Seems to be coming out of thin air. And that 13 assets listed on its platform were considered crypto asset securities. The regular asset the exchange be permanently restrained and enjoined from doing so. The suit comes just one day after the SEC sues Binance. Suing Binance makes way more sense than suing Coinbase, but I guess the SEC is cracking down. These trading platforms, they call themselves exchanges, are commingling a number of functions, says SEC Chair Gary Gensler. We don't see the New York Stock Exchange operating a hedge fund. Coinbase's flagship primary brokerage exchange and staking programs violate security laws. The regulator alleged in its complaint the company has for years defied the regulatory structure and evaded the disclosure requirements. Now, this is kind of potentially correct. I mean, the idea that for example, companies that were using tokens to be able to fund their operations, these kind of Web3 startups, these were securities, and securities have to be registered like in the United States with the state of Delaware. I mean, there's so many regulations. I know I have a startup. We have to buy shares in my startup. We have to register. Like there's a lot of legal shit that has to go down. So the idea that you could just sell tokens and like people could pump up a coin, it definitely was always shady to me. But Coinbase has been around for a while, so it's a little weird. The SEC has alleged that at least 13 crypto assets were available to Coinbase customers were crypto asset securities by the regulator. Those assets include Solana, Cardano, and Protocol Labs file tokens. Now, this probably makes sense because, again, any of these tokens that were created through some company that thought they could get away with not having to raise capital via shares, but could get people to do it. And again, what's the benefit of not having to do it via shares and like go public? Well, going public is really difficult. Setting up a company and a corporate structure is really difficult. If I could just say, hey, buy my stupid token and get all your friends to buy it. And by the way, you guys can then use the platform if you buy the token, and then your incentive to use the platform is that the token price goes up. Well, you're operating a Ponzi scheme here. I mean, it's an MLM. That's basically what it is, a multi-level marketing firm from a token perspective. Not all crypto, but a lot of these crypto startups. That's what they were doing. And so I guess the SEC is cracking out. It's just weird it's happening now because Coinbase has been around for a long time. So that is very interesting. That is very interesting what we're seeing right there. Who is SEC? Security and Exchange Commissions in the United States. They're like basically the regulatory oversight that deals with everything that goes down. And they try to, do the stuff that is necessary to make sure that markets are operating in a regulated way. Now, granted, they don't always succeed, but they definitely crack down when it's time to crack down. Okay, another partnership that we got today. I will do a little video going on this a little bit later today, but we just want to touch on this. Palantir launches Foundry for manufacturing on AWS, the broader market. This is a pretty in-depth press release. I'm not going to go deep into it right now. I'm just going to talk about the overall point of it, and then we'll move on. Foundry, this is actually a great press release because we've heard a lot about AIP. We haven't learned a lot about Foundry or heard a lot about Foundry. Foundry is Palantir's flagship software. It's really the money printer for Palantir right now. AWS and Foundry, Amazon have always had a partnership for a long time. Foundry is industry agnostic, so it can be implemented onto any cloud computing software, right? Whether it's GCP, AWS, Microsoft Azure, you can use the cloud computing infrastructure and then just put Palantir on top of it and then use it simultaneously, because Palantir doesn't offer you compute. They offer you data analytics. You can use any other service for compute. So there's a ton of businesses that use manufacturing. What is manufacturing? Basically building shit, right? So Panasonic was in this press release. JD was in this press, or Jacobs was in this press release. Integrity Tools and Molds was in this press release. These are all manufacturing companies or have a part of their business that's rooted in manufacturing. And there's a crap ton of data that's usually fragmented, siloed, and Palantir could bring all that data together. So the press release basically talks about how they're launching Foundry for manufacturing on AWS's marketplace so that some of the broader clients that they don't work with or that are new to Palantir Foundry can implement Foundry on top of AWS. We're excited to deliver our cutting-edge manufacturing solution on Foundry through our dynamic relationship with AWS. In an era of increasing demands on the manufacturing sector and historic staffing shortages, especially with what's going on with the job market, it's more important than ever to help manufacturing clients unlock the power of their sensor data and AI to optimize operations. So it is AI integrated with Foundry, but it's for manufacturing clients to be able to then get better data-driven results, especially as they said that staffing is at an all-time low because the job market is incredibly competitive, not from the sense that you can't get a job, but that there's so many jobs and there's not enough people to actually fill those positions, which is not the best news for inflation in the Fed. Nonetheless, this is, again, the power of Palantir software. It can work in so many different areas, and this is why I like investing in the company, because there's just a new area where they can work, which is manufacturing. And we knew this would happen, but we never thought Foundry for manufacturing was going to become some big thing. And now it seems like they're going to try to at least make it a bigger thing than it has been in the past and expand to more clients. So that is super, super dope. And it is great news for Amazon and Palantir. I will get into that a little bit later on a video today. But that is the overall update you need to understand about the news. Again, it's just another way that Palantir is able to integrate with another sector of the economy, in this case, manufacturing. Palantir is up 1530, pre-market up 0.39%. Truist is up just a little bit. Apple. So then Apple hit all-time highs yesterday at 184, and then it tanked when they announced the price. So I guess the market wasn't a fan of the price. And we saw a little bit of the, kind of decline from there. So I guess we'll see where this all ends up. But we've got Apple at 179. We've got Coinbase again, $47, down 19%. This is a big one for Kathy, man. This is a really big one for Kathy. It's number 5. She sold a bunch of it at 50, then it ran up to 100. This was 7-8 months ago. Then she bought more again. It's just it's a tough one for her. And I guess, I don't know if she doubled down. I think they could have factored in the risk of regulatory oversight on crypto a while ago. So it doesn't seem like they should change the thesis. But it'll be interesting to see how the company responds. Unity Software up 3.85% in the pre-market from 17% yesterday at 37. All right. It is 9:30 a.m., June 6, 2023. Thank you so much for being here. The market is now open. Who needs coffee when you got a cowbell? Palantir at 1531. It is, look at it, it's green in a sea of red. Do you see this? On the left-hand side of my screen, it's really red, and you've got Palantir as green, even though it's barely green, but it's green. Meta at 270 down. Google 126 is down. Enovix is up just a little bit at 0.76%, but it's at $13. This is a battery company that potentially could be used for Apple's Vision Pro thing. We were talking about that last night, so we'll see if that ever happens. TFC at $31. Regionals are down. NVIDIA 389, so we're getting into the 380s now in NVIDIA. I think it was 383 last Thursday, but it's now 389. DraftKings at 24. Fubo, some of the small caps at 1.7. C3 AI AI34, I have a video coming about on them today, and how the guy who investigated Theranos is now investigating C3 AI. Apple at 178, Coinbase 47, down 18%. Unity up another 3%. So Unity opens nicely at $37. Coinbase is still down. It's down 17%, so recovering just a little bit from down 20%, but still at 48%. Palantir has fallen $15.15. So there was your drop. We got Palantir going down $15.15, now $15.13. S&P at 426. This is going to be a red day, folks. That's what it looks like. SoFi at 718, SMCI at 220, Google 125, Square 62, Spotify 153. Spotify cut 2% of their podcast division yesterday, which doesn't seem to be making sense, because if the podcast business is growing and that's the only business that creates margins for you, because the music business you break even on them, why are you cutting 2% of their global workforce division? It really does not make sense. The market liked it because it's layoffs, but the actual business seems like it's running into a tar pit, because like, why are you firing people for the business that actually creates margins? Amazon at 125, Western Alliance, Pac West, all of them are down. This kind of makes sense. We're getting a down day. Enphase at 181, because, I mean, to be honest, we had a lot of green, and it makes sense. We're having a little bit of a red day, given all the green that we've had. NASDAQ still above 13,186. PayPal at 64. It was at 59, so it's up $5 from there. Congrats to anyone who bought PayPal at the lows. ARK Innovation, I would expect this one is down more, because, I mean, one of their top 5 holdings is down 18%, and it doesn't look good for the top 5 holding. Like, if the SEC, like, either Coinbase has to beat back this lawsuit, or like they have to capitulate. I don't know what they're going to have to do, but we're going to have to figure out how to do something. TQQQ puts about to print. So for those that don't know what triple QQQ is, it is a triple leverage ETF on the QQQ. So you really don't, you want to stay away from this stuff, because if the QQQ goes up by like $1, this thing goes up 3 times that. Now, I don't know if that literally means it goes up $3, but it's triple leverage, right? So it's one of those things where it's very high risk. So if you're shorting it, or you have call options on it, if the QQQ goes up and you have some calls, it goes really up. If the QQQ goes down, the Qs are basically an index of all the technology stocks. They go down, this thing goes really down, right? So QQQ, we'll see the year-to-date performance. 353, the high was 420 on this guy. Yeah, or sorry, 404 was the high. I thought it was 420. So 404 back in December 2021. In the past 6 months, let's look at year to date. That's better. 259 in January at 3. That's an amazing year. I mean, it's up $100. It's up 100 points. That's not bad. 259 to 353. That's pretty damn good for QQQ. So the Qs, and obviously this has happened because Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, they've all had a phenomenal year, and they've led the majority of the big tech rally. Palantir falling below $15. Again, this was a bit expected. We were kind of seeing this was going to happen, because it's, you know, if it's with the broader market and the broader market's coming down, Palantir is probably going to come down. Still at $14.98. It's doing pretty good. The people who wanted a dip, though, this is not the dip. Like, if there's going to be a dip, I don't think this is the dip. But it is coming down with the broader markets, as everything seems to be coming down. Unity is standing out. It's doing well. Fubo standing out just a little bit. Nvic standing out. Google just barely up a little bit. And Tesla also red 215. Amazon is up at 125. So that's what we've got going on. And Apple, the market doesn't seem impressed. Given them at 178, the market was not impressed for Apple. I hope Palantir goes down. I'm buying. Yeah, I mean, I think the real dip might be 10 or 11 if that happens. So I don't know if that happens. We'll see if that goes. Before the bear market, Palantir used to pump 5 to 10% every partnership announcement that would come. Excuse me. I wonder if we will get back to those times soon. Each partnership has a chance for a lifetime relationship. Yeah, you know, I never gave a lot of stake to the partnerships, because when I've lived through Palantir over the past 2 years, we would either tank, or we would have no change over like really big deals. And we've got like, you know, $90 million from there, $50 million from here, $464 million from the CDC, nothing. But now it seems like maybe the market's taking into. I saw some mainstream coverage on TD Ameritrade yesterday talking about Palantir for a good 6 minutes, and 6 minutes on TV is a lot of time for TV. And they were discussing the partnership with the U.S. Systems Command. So I don't know if it's going to have a big deal, but I guess the market is paying attention a little more to those partnerships, and we're seeing where they go from there. I'm all in on Palantir, SoFi, and Tesla. Might not be a bad portfolio over the next decade. Zoom. Let's go to Zoom. I actually didn't see Zoom. I was listening to what Kathy was talking about at Zoom over the weekend. Zoom at $68. Zoom is number 2 in her portfolio, not Coinbase. Zoom is number 2 in her portfolio. Coinbase now down 20%. Oh my goodness. Wow. $58 to $46. I mean, bro, I'm curious what institutional investors actually hold Coinbase stock. Because again, the problem I've always had with Coinbase is that if Bitcoin, where's the effect on Bitcoin? Let's check a Bitcoin. Because if people aren't buying Bitcoin, Coinbase is worthless because they only get a transaction fee from Bitcoin. Wow, look at Bitcoin, 25,000. Was it at 25,000 yesterday? Okay, I think it went to 25,000 yesterday. I didn't even notice. So it's down even lower from the mid 25s. If people don't buy Bitcoin, Coinbase is worthless. The only way Coinbase makes money is if you buy Bitcoin and you pay a transaction fee on Bitcoin. So the entire market is built on the speculative nature of buying Bitcoin. Why would people buy Bitcoin? Because they think it's going to go up. No one buys Bitcoin because they think there's any value to it. They buy it because it's going to go up. And if you are buying Bitcoin right now, it's probably because you think this is going to be 100,000 by 2030, which is totally fine. That could happen. And you're going to sell it. But it's not because like there's some beautiful intrinsic value or some hedge against inflation, because it's obviously not a hedge against inflation. It's based on speculation, and that's fine. But like a public stock that's basically rooted in speculation, like Ethereum, the whole use case for Ethereum was NFTs. NFTs are done. I mean, like, give me the use case for Ethereum without NFTs. What else are like smart contracts? Really, you're gonna have a lawyer. You're not gonna have a lawyer negotiate your house. You're gonna have a smart contract do it. That's not so smart. And that's not, and I've asked a lot of crypto people about this shit. So in general, it's I've always stayed away from Coinbase because of shit like this. It's like, what's the underlying use case of Ethereum or Bitcoin? And those are the two most traded exchanges or coins on the exchange. And so if that's the case, then it's going to be hard to kind of see what we're getting there. Now, granted, I could be wrong, and we're going to see a lot of use cases, but as of now, I don't see the use cases. Aussies experienced another interest rate hike today. Yeah, I don't know, man. This whole idea that the Fed is going to pause, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't know. If we get a sticky inflation next week, the Fed might not end up pausing as much as we think we are. It's literally like up in the air right now, even though the Fed said they're going to do that. So I guess we'll see. But let's interest rate stuff right now. So this is going to determine a lot in the market. Most people say July is going to happen, not June. If June doesn't happen, I don't think we're getting July. So let's see some updates on that.
But the markets and the Fed's next move is Mira Pandit. She is global market strategist at JP Morgan Asset Management. Also, Krishna Guha, who is vice chairman of Evercore ISI and head of the global policy and central bank strategy team. Why don't we start with you, Krishna, just because this is kind of your wheelhouse. You agree with what we're just hearing, this idea that they'll skip in June, hike in July, and maybe that's where we see things with the central bank? Is that your opinion too?
Yeah, so we have consistently said all the way through that the Fed is not going to hike in June. Now, that was a view that was very much challenged by market pricing not very long ago, but the market seems to have come around to this thesis. Fed is not hiking in June. The price for not hiking in June and keeping the committee together will be to make July live, and probably with some kind of a lean or default to hike again in July, unless the data between now and then provides some additional reassurance that the economy is cooling in the way the Fed wants to see. So I think the Fed will signal a July hike is more likely than not. I personally have my own forecast under review. I don't yet have a hike in July. I think the economy is cooling off. The question is whether the data will arrive in time so the Fed can skip again in July, come and have a look again in September and conclude it actually doesn't have to do more. But for sure, July is the one that is in play, not June.
Mira, you think that there'd be limited impact if they were to actually raise rates again in July, that at this point, the stuff that is really seeing inflation stick is not things that rate hikes would really work on?
Ultimately, by the time we get to July, they're going to have two CPI prints in hand, which if we think about May and June of last year, were very hot. So on a year over year basis, that could bring inflation below 4% by the middle of the summer. And if that is the case, they'll have the data in hand to actually pause for sure. But I'd also say if they wanted to hike at this,
I agree with that. If CPI comes in below 4% by the summer, it's going to be hard for them to hike.
Point, if we think about where inflation is the most sticky, services and particularly in rents, there's not that much that additional hikes can really do about that because services are not all that interest rate sensitive. If we see a hike, you're not going to cancel your dinner reservation. And if we think about rents, of course, they are very interest rate sensitive, but we're in a period of time where there's not a lot of housing supply. If you have a mortgage at 3%, you're not going to want to move out of your house for a 7% mortgage. So actually, somewhat perversely, the higher mortgage rates go, the more pressure that puts on rents because it forces people into the rental market. So at this point, I'm not sure that there's that added benefit for additional hikes.
How's the market react, though? You may not cancel your dinner reservations, but what happens with your stock market portfolio?
Well, interestingly, basically since the May FOMC meeting, we've seen a wild swing in expectations for where the Fed funds rate goes, from no hike in June to hike in June, back to no hike in June, but hike in July. And all throughout this period, equity markets have been surprisingly resilient. They haven't really reacted to a lot of these shifts. And a lot of people were saying once those cuts get priced out at the end of the year, we're going to see more equity market volatility.
That is true. I mean, she's absolutely correct about that. We've seen a wild change in terms of how the Fed has decided they want to raise rates, but equities have been pretty resilient against all of that because we rallied. Palantir at 15.27 now rallying, coming up from the red again. Palantir, one of the only green stocks this morning. That's a nice bounce back to 15.30. That's a really nice bounce because it was below 15. You would think, okay, today's going to be a red day. Palantir is just going to it hit 14.92. That was the low. So as that girl was saying, some equities have been very resilient, even though the Fed has been completely unstable and not really given any direction. I mean, today Palantir is showing that off. That's a really nice bounce to 15.20. I mean, maybe it comes back down, but that means the dip got bought at 14.92. That means somebody, or maybe it was retail, right? But a ton of people or a couple of institutions, whatever it was, at 14.92, they were like, nope, this is good enough for us. Some algorithms went off, some limit orders went off, and they bought the stock. That is very interesting. I did not expect it to jump right back to. I did not expect that to jump right back to 15.32. That I did not expect. I thought it was 15.22. I thought it was going to take some time. Wow. Just a reminder, two announcements in the context of Palantir. I will be confronting the short report Bear Cave writer Edwin. That's his name, tonight, 8 p.m. Tuesday. So Tuesday, 8 p.m. It's already on my YouTube. You can click it if you click on live and then set the notification. I will be confronting him about his Bear report. So it'll be a fun discussion. Tuesday, 8 p.m. tonight. I think you should be there. It'll be good. And then this is Debater Emit telling you that it's going to be good. And then tomorrow we have Keith Fitzgerald, who's been one of the biggest Palantir bulls on CNBC and Fox Business. He goes on mainstream media. He's a private equity research guy. He's been in the market for 40 years. He's been very bullish on Palantir. One of the only guys on the mainstream media who's been bullish on Palantir. He is joining the live stream as well. Wednesday, 9:40, tomorrow a.m. for the market open. And Adam Bergman will be with me, and we will have a discussion with him on Palantir. So going to be super exciting. All right, Palantir now at $15.18. So falling a little bit, but holding above 15. Holding above 15 to me is very interesting to see it above 15. Well, you upload your debate from today. It'll be live on the channel, so then it'll turn into a video. So as soon as the thing is done by 9 p.m., it'll be live on the channel, and you can watch it whenever. I admit that 14.98 you mentioned earlier might have been the That's crazy, bro. I'm shocked. I am shocked that we just expanded from 14.98 back up to 15. I was like, all right, it's going to be a red day. I got to deal with it. Should still be happy we're in the 14s. So even if we go to the high 13s, I'm still pretty, happy with the price action, but it got eaten up. Now, again, there's a long market to go. There's a long day. We're only 14 minutes into the market, but some stocks are recovering. TFC is recovering a little bit now at $32. Meta's up a little bit at 271. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Meta and Apple. Meta 271. Apple released what I think is a device that could be the future of computing if they can get the damn price to not be an arm and a leg. You could $3,500 is something that most people can't afford. I think they're at first I was against it, but I think the argument, it makes a lot of sense. Let's charge a crap ton of money. The people that really love it are going to buy it. And then as a result of that, we can lower the prices as we get economies of scale, as our operations become a lot more smoother to be able to build this device. And, we can prove that the product actually works, right? This is exactly what they did with the iPhone. Exactly what they did with the iPad. You make it really expensive, get the real hardcore tech people to buy. And then over time, you just reduce the prices as the product becomes more stabilized. So I think it makes sense. I mean, if they were trying to sell 1 million of these, yeah, make it $1,000. But they don't need to sell 1 million of these. I don't even know if they think they have the supply chain infrastructure to build 1 million of these right now. So if you can only sell 50 to 100,000 over the next couple of months, let that happen. Get a decent margin because people are willing to pay that $3,500. Like if Meta did this, no one's paying $3,500. That's why Meta takes a loss for their $500 Quest 3. But for Apple, I mean, if you saw that WWDC, they made it look magical. I mean, the partnership with Disney, the partnership with Unity, the partnership with the NBA, just like putting it on, you don't have controllers on your hands, so you're able to like just flick around. It really looked like something people could end up buying and using on an everyday basis. The problem is the price is just not there yet. And so I think this is going to be one of those things, Palantir now at 1528, that Apple does a Vision Pro 2, Vision Pro 3, Vision Pro 4. They're going to run this out for the next 10, 15 years. And by the 7th or 8th year, by 2030, it's going to be a small set of glasses that's AR oriented. You put it on, and just like glasses I have on right now, and it's going to be pretty exciting. But it's going to take time for that innovation to get there. But I am a little bit more bullish now on this becoming a next S-curve of growth if they can really figure out the use cases of it and get the prices down, which eventually they'll be able to do. Then yeah, I mean, it seemed exciting when I was watching it. It seemed pretty exciting for people to think through. It would be a hit in retirement homes. Yeah, it would definitely be a hit in retirement homes. People will get shot wearing this creepy device. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a bunch of implications to like what it is, and how it'll use the 2-hour battery is the worst part. I agree, but like I think they just don't have the innovation yet to make the 2-hour battery better. What do you think of Unity? I've learned more about Unity. We covered on Finance Junkies, which is the podcast I do every night at 10 p.m. Today it'll be at 9 p.m. and for the next week it'll be at 9 p.m. I think Unity is interesting. It's down just a little bit. I didn't know they were like the backbone behind most of the gaming industry, them and Unreal Engine. And I might be getting the name wrong, but there's like 2 or 3 players that control the AI that is, required to build a lot of these games for Xbox and PlayStation, etc. The thing is, I'm not a big gaming guy. I don't care about gaming. So that's why my due diligence here is going to take a while, because I've really never given a crap about video games. So I'm going to have to care a lot more about video games and kind of dive deeper to get excited about holding this company. Like for me, if I hold this company, I have to see like the next Grand Theft Auto or something built on Unity and be excited about that. And I just personally am not excited at all about that. So on a personal level, I think I would have to do a little bit more due diligence to get excited about this company. Stock-based compensation is a lot. Share dilution is a lot. That's one of the negatives of Unity. Something to definitely look into. $13 billion market cap. Vitaly, one of the guys who has a heavier position on the podcast, he sees it as a $40 billion company over the next 5 years, which is a 3-4x, which is not bad at all, especially if Apple's with this partnership is going to be utilizing them in a lot. And I think we talked about them when they were at like 28 last week, so they have a nice run up. We'll just see kind of where it continues to go from there. There is Frostbite Engine as well. Yeah, there's stuff like there. Why waste your time researching a company with no growth? Well, I guess Unity will grow, right? Or that's the point of due diligence, is seeing if they can grow. And if they end up growing, then that's going to be important. What are there studies of the effects of a screen that close to your face? What happens to don't sit too close to the screen? Yeah, that's interesting. I saw a meme today where like people, in the 90s were like, don't sit too close to the TV. And now in 2023, it's like the TV is right in front of you. I think Apple did a lot of research on it. I don't think they would put out a device that like destroys your eyes or something. There's 5,000 patents. There's a lot of neurological research that goes into it. I think it'll be okay. But again, only time will tell after you use it and decide to see if it's actually worth it. Sorry, I thought you meant Apple. Yeah, no, I meant Unity. I did mean Unity. Thank you to 600 people being in the live stream. I got to ring the bell for 600. Thank you so much. 600 people being here. Palantir now at $15.19. Again, holding up amazingly well. C3 AI, the video I have coming out today, talks about the Theranos lawyer investigating a lawsuit against C3 AI. This is a competitor to Palantir and a competitor in the entire AI space, because the CEO said that they have 12,000 people working on selling their product, and he basically was lying about it. So I don't know where the lawsuit's going to go, because a lot of these lawsuits sometimes fizzle out. But the fact that that lawsuit even exists, and when you watch the video and you listen to how he speaks about his company, it's really just like the guy speaks like he doesn't give a shit, and it's really sad. So that'll be out a little bit later today. Coinbase at $49, down 16%. SoFi, 731. So SoFi's up a little bit. SoFi and Palantir are still holding up nicely. If SoFi and Palantir end up holding out nicely, then that's going to be a testament to them as a lot of these stocks end up going red. Big tech also red a little bit more later today. Man, in the last 2 days, Palantir price is jumping like never before. Yeah, I had a tweet yesterday. I said, Apple said the price of the Vision Pro quicker than Palantir ran from 7 to 15. They're like, and it's going to be $34.99. Back to you, Tim. Like, it was so quick. They were like, by the way, it's like, it's going to cost a lot of money, but back to you, Tim. And I think that was quicker than when Palantir went from 7 to 15. That was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. You're building up FUD on AI. I don't think I'm building up FUD on AI. Again, the company's going to run regardless of whatever I say, or it's going to tank for it. And their earnings, you can't reduce full year guidance and then tell me you have 12,000 people selling your product. And I'm not short C3, so I have no skin in this game. Obviously, yeah, they're competitive Palantir, but this bit market is big. C3 can win and Palantir can win. The reason I researched this is because their ticker symbol is AI. They used to be an energy company. Then they used to be an IoT company. Then they transitioned to an AI company. And now somehow we're supposed to believe that they've been serious about AI for so long, especially as they picked the ticker symbol AI. Like, to me, it just screams like shady. And this journalism that CNBC did investigating them kind of justified how shady it kind of has been. So, not been the best news for C3. Let's get some more coverage on some of the mainstream stuff we were talking about. Let's go from what I want to see. Let's actually see in Gene. Let's see Gene talk a little bit about Apple. This guy has been bullish on Apple for a long time. Let's hear his thoughts on what he thinks is going to go on with the Vision Pro. He thinks it's going to get to 10% of Apple's revenue. Yo Amid, pretty close to 20K subs. Yes, we are close. If you are not subscribed to the channel, it would mean the world if you subscribe, and please like the stream. Would help it a lot. We are pretty close to 20K subs, which is going to be awesome. All right, 10% of Apple's revenue will come from the Vision Pro. By the way, let me know in the chat if you like the name Vision Pro. I love the name. I thought it was awesome, but some people, they hated the name, but I thought the name was great.
Big deal for Apple. Longtime analyst Gene Munster attending the event. Gene is managing partner of Deepwater Asset Management, is out in Cupertino, of course. Gene, great to have you with us. You just heard basically all of us. So this wasn't such a big thing. So explain to us why this is a big thing in your view.
Well, just simply the math that they announce a new hardware product category once every 5 to 10 years. So that puts it in a special case for a company that is very measured in terms of how they make these announcements. They never jump into a market. So that's noteworthy. And I think another piece why this is a big day is to look at the actual device itself. Understand that the commentary around waiting, this is going to take many years to grow into a big business. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But I do want to point out two things that make Apple product innovation great. There were two product features in here that no other mixed reality headset has. Number one is the ability for the user to have their eyes on the real world at the same time. There is a primal instinct with humans. This may sound obscure, but a primal instinct that when that humans want to have some form, even if it's a passing, their eyes on the real world. That's one of the reasons why MR headsets, VR headsets have not taken off. They picked up on that. I was glad to see that. Second is gestures, and eyes are what is the controlled interface for this. That's important so you don't have to have complicated ways of interacting with these devices. This is important. Ultimately, it will take time for the use cases to form, but they are off to a great start when it comes to the technology piece. The price is prohibitive. All of that's true, but you just need to take a step back. Look at the bigger picture here. Our collective lives are going to have a kind of a spectrum of devices we're going to use. And I believe eventually 10% of Apple's revenue is going to come from this wearable.
Hey, Gene, it's Karen. Thanks for being on. So just how do you think this $3,500 price, we all talk about, that's going to really shut almost everyone out of the market. How do you see the evolution of this product and the price, let's say a year or 2 years out? What's a mass-ish for them market through this?
I think it's below $1,000. It's a light year away from where we're at today. And I would also add that I think that there's going to be a family of products around here. We are hyper-focused on this announcement today, but Tim Cook has long talked about the power of augmented reality. This is not augmented reality. This is a step before it. Augmented reality is more or less glasses. But to answer your question, Karen, I think it's sub $1,000, $700 actually is I think where it starts to get mainstream. And if you're going to ask me what year we're going to get to that, it's probably 5 years from now, 2028. So we're many years out. The good news is that a little of this is priced in. Investors are going to be wait and see approach. A little of it's priced in, and there is optionality as we start to see a family of products come out. The price comes down. I think it gives room for Apple investors to get more excited about what the segment can do.
The other big
the comment I just highlighted says it brings enough value, offset the inconvenience of wearing the battery. I think again the battery, that annoying ass cord, it's because they haven't figured out how to put the battery into the device. They will figure that out, but it might take a couple of years. And eventually when they figure that out, then it's going to be a really beautiful product, but it's just going to take a while for them to innovate to get to that point.
thing that happened today, Gene, of course, is Apple hitting an all-time high. So how do you think about the valuation here, given what you've seen today?
So I think that there's a shift in how investors are viewing the Apple story. This is not about how many iPhones they're selling in a quarter. It's about the active base. We've seen that trend in the stock over the last 6 months. I think mathematically that base is going to keep rising. And I think that this can still should have a premium to consumer staple companies, Coca-Cola. If you look at Procter & Gamble, Clorox, those all trade in the mid-20s multiple. I think this should be in the low 30s. So I think that there is upside. This is not a stock that I think is going to triple in the next 3 years. If that's what you're looking for, that's not what Apple's going to deliver. But I think a company that can continue to, a store that can continue to move higher, I think it's going to happen because that active install base is going to continue and grow, and investors can sleep well at night knowing that that's growing, and that means higher multiple.
Okay. So, I mean, that's I mean, look, it's exciting to see that. Again, as he said, you might not, Apple's barely grow. They're going to be negative growth this year on earnings and maybe 10% for the next couple of years, and it's at a 30 times forward price to earnings. One could argue it's expensive, especially if you don't think there's an S curve built into this family of products that the Vision Pro is going to create. But if you do believe in that, then, maybe Apple's something to hold on to. I saw a great meme that says, we're all making fun of the Vision Pro, but everyone's retirement literally rests on that, which is very true. Like, people who are retiring in the next 10 years, like my mom, all of her money's in a 401k, right? That 401k is mostly invested in the S&P 500, to my understanding. The 401k is just like a retirement thing for people in the United States. And Apple is 7.5% of the S&P 500. So the economy rests on this stupid ass Vision Pro device selling a ton of units, because if they don't sell those units, people are going to have a hard time retiring. That's what's going to happen. So that's basically what we've got going on right now. Just bought 50 shares of PayPal. All right, let's take a couple of minutes, last look at the charts, and then we will be out for today. Palantir is still holding up, 15.10. Not bad, man. Not bad. Meta at 274, doing okay. Apple down, Unity down just a little bit. Palantir, Bitcoin recovering a little bit, 25,700 or 25,700. Palantir at 15.10. Q's flat. Coinbase down 15%. So Coinbase recovering a little bit. The dip is getting bought on Coinbase. AI up 1%, 1.4. Nvidia 390, also flat on the day. So, and SoFi at 726. So we've got a relatively flat market. Palantir, it's still in dicey territory. We're going to see if it falls below 15 or it continues to stay here. Even if it stays at this level, I mean, that's going to be pretty strong for Palantir, because you don't know, if Palantir can maintain these levels. But it's here at 1509. And again, I thought when it got to 1492, it was all downhill. We're going to get to the low 14s, 1480, 1470 for today, but it's holding up strong. I mean, people are buying it. Let's see the volume on it as well. Let me check the volume. 19 million. That's a lot of shares exchanging hands in 28 minutes. 19 million. All right. Not too bad. Not too bad. Again, we'll see kind of where it goes from there. Good morning, brother Samuel. Good morning. Why is he not talking about how Palantir will be the most valuable company in the world soon? Okay, so I believe in what you're saying. I some caveats. Soon, I don't think is going to happen. I think we have to have a nuance that it's not going to happen soon. They've got to grow more than 18% year over year. Second of all, they still don't have a consumer product. So as much as I believe in the potential, trillions of dollars, which would be most valuable, like beating out Tesla, it's hard right now. There's a great return built in, I think, over the next 5-10 years going to 2030, especially if they just keep expanding in the partnerships they've done, as they've announced today. And think about it. Yesterday they announced a military contract for $500 million. Today they announced a completely commercial AWS driven manufacturing partnership. I mean, the diversity and depth of speed of how Palantir can adapt to today's markets is just phenomenal. And I think that will give us returns over the long term, but it's a question of really execution right now and them having to build it. Remember, Palantir is in its infancy. It's a very small company. It's got a long time to go, which is why it's going to be a fun journey to see it play out. But it's got some time to get there. All right, that's it for me. Thank you all for being here. Palantir now at around 15.12. Not too bad as we end out to the market open. Couple things today. I'll have a video on the Palantir AWS partnership. I'll have a video on C3 AI and what's going on with them. And then we will have Palantir Daily Shareholder Club meeting at around, or actually, no, instead of doing that, we're doing the confronting of the guy who wrote the Bear Report at 8 p.m. today. So instead of the live stream I do by myself, we'll be confronting him 8 p.m. You want to be there. Trust me, you want to be there. You want to be there. And then we'll have Finance Junkies at 9 p.m. Also, again, Keats Fitzgerald, one of the big mainstream media guys for Palantir. He'll be on the live stream tomorrow, 9:40 a.m. So super excited for that. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys. Let me answer this one final question. Amit, do you think Palantir Q2 results will reflect the AIP product sales, or we won't see this until Q3 and we will see a drop after Q2 due to not hitting the higher expectations? I don't know if we see a drop after Q2. I do think Q3, Q4 is when we see the results of the demand that Karp is talking about. Q2, if they reaccelerate the sales because of the demand, we're going to see a beat, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Q3, Q4, I would think that happens more. In terms of what the stock price does after Q2, I have no idea. So we're going to have to end up seeing where it goes from there. All right. Thank you, everybody. God bless from upstate and New York. Thank you, Nathaniel, for being here. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day, Tess. Good night. I will see you guys on the live stream tonight at 8 p.m. Bye, everybody.